Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today's word is walkabout. Now, you've probably had the verb to walk, you've probably had the phrasal verb to walk about. I'm sure you've heard the noun, walk, to take a walk, but there's also another one, which is written as one word, which is walkabout. Now, this comes from Australian English, but it's very common here in the UK. And we use it when we're walking aimlessly, perhaps to discover a particular area or to meet people who live in the area by chance. Okay? It's a little bit different from taking a walk because it's aimless. There's nothing in mind. You walk out the house and you think, will I turn left or right? I don't know. I'm not sure where I'm going to go. So that's taking a walkabout. A walkabout as one word. Now, some people might just use the word walk. I'm going for a walk. I'm going to discover the new area, whatever. It's not wrong to use the word walk, but walkabout tends to describe your action more appropriately. Let me give you some examples. So imagine that you start a new job. And in that new job, you have your first morning, and your boss says, take a walkabout. Just look around and see who's there and what they do. Sometimes at Christmas time, your boss, he might make a walkabout, just walking around aimlessly with nothing in mind, maybe to give out chocolates at Easter time, to give Easter eggs to people. He's walking about, a walkabout. And there we are. That's all it is. So I'm taking a walk, but if you don't know where you're going, you can say it's a walkabout. Now, it's kind of like an informal exploration, going for a walk with the intent to explore an area just to see what happens. Public figures often take walkabouts. Politicians, the royal family, for example, are very trained to make walkabouts. You could just say they're going for a walkabout, or as a verb, they're walking about. You could say that. It's kind of the same, but it would be more grammatically correct to say taking a walkabout. Yeah, the royal family love that, don't they? And as I was mentioning earlier, in business settings also, bosses take walkabouts, so do new employees, just to discover what's happening. Now, this word comes from Australian English because Aborigines, the indigenous Australian people, they have a ceremony. It's a ritual, more than a ceremony, where they send young males, young adolescent men, away from their tribes. Okay, they send them to their wilderness, into, I think you call it the bush in Australia, as far as I know, to help them grow up quickly, to train them in survival skills so that they can transition into manhood, learn how to survive. They basically go wandering through the land, not knowing where they're going, and they obviously eat whatever they can find, and they learn about it as well as the spiritual significance of what they're doing, which is all about Aboriginal culture and life, because they're very nomadic, aren't they? They walk around a lot. So that's where it originated. These young men are sent on walkabouts for 6 months. And since that time, British people and other people in the English speaking world, we've adopted that word to mean when we go for long, aimless journeys without a specific destination in mind. If you've ever been to London, there's a chain of pubs called Walkabout, and that chain is Australian. So that's where the word comes from, walkabout. Speaking of walking about, our royal family have a tradition this Easter where they go to church on Sunday, and then probably on the way back they'll go for a little walkabout, shake hands with people informally, wish them happy Easter, and then they have their Easter dinner, which is always lamb at Easter time. Did you know that the royal family have very strict protocols, and some of these are a little bit weird? Whenever royals travel, they always take with them black clothes, just in case somebody dies while they're away and they have to make public appearances. So they're always prepared, and I suppose because some of them are quite old, they would be uh, nearing death. So it's really important to always have black clothes with you just in case somebody dies when you're away. They have lots of other traditions as well, probably far too many to mention on this podcast, but that's one of the stranger ones. They're kind of always expecting death. People here in the UK, we no longer have any kind of Easter traditions. Easter is something of the past, although the exchange of chocolate eggs is something we do for children. We buy Easter eggs, we give them to kids, and the kids are happy. That's It's been like that for many, many years. I know some places in the world paint eggs, and I'm sure kids here do that as well. But I'm not aware that anyone else does. Easter had a very strong religious significance, but now all of the shops are open. There's no moment during Easter when everything closes. At Christmas, the whole place shuts down for a couple of days, at least one day anyway. But Easter time now, everywhere's open. So that means that there isn't really much of an atmosphere. Many people just use it to go shopping, and many people work and just ignore the Easter holidays because they don't relate to it. It was once a big family time, but I think mostly now people just ignore it. Today is, some people call it Easter Wednesday or Holy Wednesday, and I think it marks the start of religious celebrations around the world. Personally, I'll have a nice Easter dinner, buy something different, but that's all. There won't be any other kind of celebrations as far as I'm concerned. British people, we aren't really social people anymore. So the idea of inviting the whole family to your house for dinner and these things, as far as I know anyway, no longer exists here. But I suppose it depends on the kind of family that you're accustomed to. I'm noticing that in shops, etc., just like Christmas, you buy something and people will say, "Oh, happy Easter, have a nice one, have a good Easter." I'm really not sure what they mean by that because nothing happens. It's another day, the shops are all open, there's no special significance. And I think even for religious people, there's no special sense of any day here. So I don't know what, unless, of course, I'm living in a bubble and I'm just not experiencing it. It is like everything else, what you make it. So I'll probably buy some Easter eggs and give them to people I like. Aside from that, other news from the UK, clocks change this weekend. Most of us have digital devices which will change the clocks for us. It's good to remember the the little phrase spring forward, fall back. And that means in springtime, the clocks move forward. And in autumn time, which in American English is the fall, the clocks go back. So spring forward, fall back is how we remember. I do actually have some manual clocks around the house, which are battery operated or wind up. So I'll need to make sure I remember to change the clock time. And I think my microwave, it doesn't change the clock time automatically either. So I'll need to remember to change that so I don't get confused. The clock in my kitchen is Mickey Mouse, and he's battery operated, so I'll need to change that. It's like a little clock, and it has a picture of Mickey Mouse, and his arms are the hands of the clock. And yeah, it's very funny because, of course, at 2:45, he's looking very, very happy, and at 6:30, he's looking very embarrassed and sultry. And at midday, that clock looks as if Mickey Mouse is dancing. Other news from the UK today, there is a news report. I've only seen this in one newspaper. I'm not sure how reliable this is, but it's saying that there's new laws coming in, which may mean that some bars and pubs here in the UK will have to close at 8 p.m. Not only because of the new laws, but because of the rising costs of energy. So I don't know exactly what that's going to mean or look like, but that's something to keep in mind if you're a fan of UK pub culture. Pubs here are closing. They estimate that pubs are closing by one or two per week. And yeah, I can see that many old buildings now, which once were pubs, are kind of closed permanently. And the larger chains are the ones which are surviving. So I know they're having a difficult time. And of course, more and more of us don't drink as well. So that's another reason. Some of them are just transforming themselves into cafe bars where coffee is perhaps the most appropriate thing that they sell. So yeah, it's a real time of transformation for UK bars and pubs right now. I have to say, I don't feel very organized this year. Usually, I do send Easter cards to people, but it's kind of passed me by. I might still have time to send a few local ones, but this year, I really haven't sent any. Um, in the old days, it might have been quite common, is what I want to say, to send flowers as well as an Easter card, especially to older people. That tradition's gone and has been replaced with chocolate, of course. Chocolate seems to be the thing which everyone gets now because it's easier to buy and easier to move around with as well, and of course, cheaper. So that's something to think about. Perhaps if you have a neighbor or a friend. In the old days, it was an Easter basket, which would have had some nice sweets in it and some flowers. But now I don't think people even do that. Uh, yeah, I'll see if I can quickly send an Easter card tomorrow. perhaps to a few local people, but aside from that, I have no big plans for Easter. So I'll be back with you tomorrow. Do try and get out and get some fresh air today. Go for a little walkabout away from the computer and see you all soon. Bye.